The Creator has made humans based on the principles of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. If a person with Pitta marries a woman with Kapha or a woman with Vata, the children born from such a union may face problems.
So even when we fall in love, we should consider Vata and Pitta.
Ways to quickly find a girl or boy after a breakup, looking at desire 10 to 1-ness. This is how people justify things. They never ask whether the person is Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. If someone is Kapha, no matter how many times you check, their nose will always be running. They'll say something like, "Bah, whenever I check, my nose is running and water comes out." But that poor person doesn't even know why. If you consider that the person's kidney and liver are slowly shutting down and the fees are just being collected, only someone who has studied about this information would understand what's really happening. By giving antibiotics, we are suppressing the discharge of the fluid that comes through the nose. Nature has designed this process to clean itself by discharging it. So when we stop that, what will happen? If there is just one thing above that the body doesn't like, it will cause trouble. And when they come together, that friction, nowadays we say we have children and a married life, that's medicine. Women's health is maintained right there.
Welcome to ABC Talks. Today's episode is powered by B-Side Group of Institutions, Kochi. Our guest today is Matthews Vaidyan from this,
Genetic disabilities or genetic disorders. This is one of the major problems the world is facing. A problem for which the world has not yet found an answer. That too in Kerala. In Manarkat Palakat, there is one person who is finding a solution for this. That's what it is. Can you tell us what is special about Matthews Vaidyan? He studied an automobile diploma. A person who worked hard as a mechanic. Today, the world in hundreds of categories. Many treatments have been discovered at a place that stands at the very top. Still something that has not yet been discovered. What exactly is it due to a genetic disorder? What is the way out for that? Even today, it is an era where people are still searching. I always, from morning till evening, always, even though I provide medical treatment to my patients, and even when I address them with a very serious and stern tone, I do so while constantly wondering if somewhere else in this country, or perhaps across the wider world, a definitive cure for this condition has finally been found.
No medicine has been discovered anywhere for these genetic disorders, right? Doctors say there is medicine for it, and doctors have been treating this for so many years.
I've been doing this for over 35 years now.
Mainly,
To treat based on assumptions?
did you start like that, or what is it? That way,
When we say genetic disorder, it is known by many names: autism, ADHD, Down syndrome, Wilson's disease, Dravet syndrome, conditions like microcephaly and hydrocephalus, along with muscular dystrophy and muscular atrophy, and now the incredibly expensive 18 crore rupee injection for SMA. Final muscular dystrophy, conditions like these, diseases related to nerves and muscles, and nerve-related diseases that are present from birth are what we call genetic disorders. However, this damage, as we grow and become older, this becomes known by another name. One is Parkinson's. Another is Alzheimer's. Suddenly SMA. For all these conditions mentioned, other than maintaining with steroids today,
there is no permanent solution.
for all those people to say there is a permanent cure, it's very simple. If we can convince the patients, their life will be prosperous.
This, when we say genetic disorder, does it occur when the egg and sperm unite, or does it happen while growing in the womb, or is it at birth? What exactly is genetics?
That, in my experience, I have treated more than 7,000 children over all these years. So this treatment, as soon as I realized it was effective, I learned this treatment from the tribal community. They themselves do not know that there is a treatment for this. For them, there is treatment only after a stroke has occurred. For us, after a stroke, we go for 90 days of Ayurvedic treatment with massages and then all the Panchakarma therapies. One side, the paralyzed side, usually those who have had a stroke return to life with stiffness and only with some support. But with their medicine, within the days they mentioned, we return to a normal state, unbelievably so.
Just like how it was before.
Exactly the same. So when I saw such a treatment, from that I got some opportunities. Now, the reason I want to learn it is because my mother is the one I married into the family with. My father-in-law is an Adivasi and my father is a Christian. So I married their daughter through an intercaste marriage. It was only after entering that life there that I understood such things. If you ask what my first experience was, a child who became paralyzed after taking the polio vaccination. Just one child, for the first time they came to us, that incident. They came seeking my mother after learning that she is a doctor bringing this child along. The other truth is that among the tribal people themselves, such children are not usually born. It is extremely, extremely rare. So when such an incident happened there and they came to us, is this polio for them? Will using this medicine be of any benefit for this? We didn't know at that time, we were just learning. Since my wife had studied BSc botany and has a background in biology, she could know more about leaves and such. That's how it was. We told mother and prepared the medicine. Told them to try using it. To tell the truth, honestly, after about 10 or 15 days, the child who had become weak below the waist started playing in the water. All the experiences we had were like that. They were miracles.
So this tribal child had received vaccination.
Had taken it, and then fantastic happened, but
What I think is the reason, the root cause of this,
GK, that's a virus.
that's what polio is. But in many of these incidents, our lives,
And what I want to say within that is, when married life begins, the ways our elders find brides and grooms nowadays, looking at horoscopes, 10 matches are checked. These are the reasons given for success. Then, getting married after falling in love or through arranged marriage, these are the two main ways relationships are formed. When you see someone, everything seems beautiful at first. But once you start living together, no one asks whether these individuals are of Vata, Pitta, or Kapha constitution. Even though Ayurvedic practitioners identify Kapha, Vata, and Pitta types and prescribe treatments accordingly, society also needs to recognize this. I am a Vata type, I am a Kapha type, I am a Pitta type.
Which constitution are you?
So let's say we buy two vehicles. In one vehicle, we put petrol, and in the other, we put diesel. The company has also suggested that a method has never been found to pour any one fuel into two vehicles. The reason I understand this is that the Creator has created man on the basis of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. It's not that you can eat anything without any problem. What he taught is that there are indeed issues. That's why when Christians talk about the 10 commandments, let me tell you something. It wasn't 10 commandments that were given. It was just one commandment. That was the commandment. All that you see here is yours. But do not eat the fruit of one tree among them. If you eat it, you will become a sinner. This is the one thing mentioned in both the Bible and the Quran. If you look at Hindu philosophy, it is about loving nature, trusting nature, and seeing nature as God. Hindus and Muslims always view Naviya from that same perspective. According to what is written in the Bible and the Quran, this is what is written at the very beginning. All that you see here is yours, but do not eat from one tree among them. If you eat it, you will become a sinner. What happened? The devil came. It was given to Eve by the serpent. She gave it to Adam, and they both became sinners. So there is a commandment there, should you give birth in pain? Even there, the assistance was given with affection. When it is said that you must give birth with that pain, mother-children relationship deeply. It is meant to become a single bond. That doesn't exist with the father, but the mother has it. That's why some daughters go astray. Because when a mother's love increases, the children, when they are raised with even more affection, they are brought up without knowing hardship. The father has no part in that. There are so many things to say about all this, and it is necessary for people to understand this. If the next generation is truly told about it and still doesn't understand, today there are many women and men who are not interested in getting married. The reason is, will they get a grand welcome? Because
Actually, we started talking about the treatment for these genetic disorders that are now seen in children, and that's how our conversation ended up here.
if we don't explain the reason for this much, the beginning of it won't be understood. The marriage without love for the woman or the man. If there is a marriage without love, when they come together, that friction itself leads to a child. 1. 2. After getting married, for these 2 years or for 3 years, they don't have children. Saying so, there are people who live together as a couple. Even after 2 or 3 years have passed, there is still so much anxiety about having a child. If you get married, you must have a child. That's considered natural. You can't do anything by going against nature. So for that, many procedures are being done now, and many people are taking medicines. There are other plans as well. So when people say that God, who supposedly brought the two of us together, is upset that you are unwilling to give birth to a child, it is considered a divine mistake. That is the perspective. Otherwise, don't get married. If you get married, there will be a relationship between husband and wife. When a relationship between husband and wife is formed, because it has so many meanings within life itself, it is like medicine. What we call married life is like medicine. What we call married life is not just about the companionship between husband and wife or the union of man and woman, but even more about the health of women. That is where it stands in the relationship of husband and wife. In marriage, in married life, we see people not getting married until the age of 28 or even up to 1,024 years old, and then getting married. 282,856. Then until it becomes 128 more. The time we live together in married life is the most beautiful part of our life. In between, it is the separation after fights that happens. Both reasons are like that, and then there is a third reason. One person with pitta, bile. One woman with kapha, phlegm. Or if you marry a woman who is argumentative. The children born from that. What I have understood is that problems arise for them. A person with pitta, bile. The nature of war, as they say, is like Shapatu Ramana. They are food lovers. So after eating, they need to sleep quickly. They are unable to provide what is called satisfaction in family life. They are very loving people. They are responsible for taking care of all the matters at home. But why does a woman need a man and a man need a woman? In front of that question. There. That whether it's a man or a woman, according to observation, people with a pitta temperament should marry others with the same pitta temperament. In that case, there will be no children. So what about those with a pitta temperament, or what is it? They say that we are created in 3 types, vata, pitta, and kapha. Then they say that only the same types should be matched. So if a person with a pitta temperament marries another person with a pitta temperament, there won't be any issues or conflicts between them. Because both of them like to eat, both like to sleep, and both prefer to live responsibly towards society. For them, there won't be any major plus points. They will be very sincere towards the work they do. They will do their work sincerely. Did you understand? They are people with only one issue. Just like being addicted to alcohol, they are addicted to food. Even if they eat 4 times a day instead of 3, it won't be enough. Someone who eats only once a day is worthy. Someone who eats twice a day is a bogey. Someone who eats 3 times a day is sick. Someone who eats 4 times a day is a traitor. These people will eat even more than 4 times. Great health, great betrayal. So if they get another evening, they'll just eat and then know only to sleep. They don't have any other issues with each other. There will be fights there. One person says everyone should get married. The doctor says a person with bile should marry another person with bile. Then the children will have phlegm. Otherwise, isn't it said that if both have the same temperament, the chances of having children are less? No, that's not it. Children will be born. If children are born, these kinds of problems won't arise. I give priority to this so that such problems don't occur. Only with peace of mind will all their matters be resolved. So when you fall in love, we don't think about Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. See, that's why you don't fall in love after checking your Pitta. It's not about falling in love just by looking at someone's looks. That's not what I'm asking. We need that kind of sensation, right? But we know this. One thing is clear, not everyone can live together and not everyone can share a bedroom with us. Not everyone can even travel with us in a car. That's right, even this person. We can't even spend a little time talking with some people. No matter how much we try with some people, nothing works out. We actually want to sit with them. So is all this just a part of nature? Let me tell you one thing. You two are married. Everyone is someone who has gotten married. When we talk about married life, just the other day I went to a wedding. It was extremely grand. All the ceremonies happening just like in a movie style. So after I went there and watched, I saw that the new bride and groom were doing everything in a movie style. From my perspective, based on my experience, what I felt at that moment was, isn't all this just for this one day? After this, it's reality. Then you go to a one-bedroom. That's what we call the manya, bridal chamber. Even if that manya is beautifully decorated in every way, according to your finances, there will be a blanket. If your finances are limited, the price of the blanket will be less. If you have more money, there will be another blanket on top of mine. On the first day, what we call the first night, no matter how many dreams you've seen, no matter how grand the mansion is, everything begins under this blanket. Life begins under that blanket. Usually it's likely to last for a week. It's very rare for it to go beyond that. If you say you don't need it, that will start an argument. One person wants the blanket, the other doesn't want it. So that's when the first fight starts and no one sees it. When they open the door in the morning and come out, whether it's the mother-in-law or the mother, they think with a lot of affection, oh, the children are so happy. But little do they know about the fight over the blanket that happened inside. After a few days, one person will say, the fan speed is too low. Someone else will say, increase the fan speed. Then at night, they don't get time to sleep. They have to keep turning it off and on. And there's the hassle of adjusting it too. It keeps going on, increasing and decreasing. In the midst of all this, somehow what is called pregnancy happens quite often. The children born out of that situation face many problems. That's one reason. What is called love doesn't exist there. Everything is done in a language of aggression. This is actually a part that should be handled with love. What happens if you do it with aggression? So when someone who doesn't like it is being forced, how can there be intimacy in that situation? So as you said, there is no mental state to have a conversation back and forth. So how can you compare someone who comes home after working hard outside with someone who just sits at home? So both need to understand each other and have one mind. Then after this blanket or fan issue, one will say to turn on the AC or open the window. Another will say to close the window. One will say they can't breathe if the window isn't open. One person says opening the window will make it cold because of the breeze, but both have different body constitutions. It's like a diesel vehicle and a petrol vehicle. Just like the fuel that runs a vehicle, we too have different characterizations. Some are more argumentative, some have more bile, and some have more phlegm. If someone has more phlegm, you'll always see them with a runny nose. That might be irritating to someone else. Then people like this will say, whenever you look, your nose is running and you always have to go to the hospital. I went out in the rain. They'll say, even if I get wet, I don't have any problem. But that poor person doesn't know. Without knowing the information that this poor person's kidney and liver are slowly getting damaged and failing, they call it just a minor cold as per technology. Sometimes everyone keeps blaming each other back and forth.
Getting a cold and then wasting away like that.
That's all there is to it. When they say a cold is just something that will go away, what it really means is basically, if you are someone prone to phlegm-related illnesses, you are eating foods that produce phlegm. If you just stop consuming those foods, that's enough. That's the new approach these days. There will be a water tank at home. Or we might be in the toilet. When we go there and open the tap, no water comes out. It's very simple. Someone just calls and says, turn on the motor, there's no water. So there's really nothing much to learn about it. I feel there's absolutely no need for a degree for this. So then, over there, you go and turn it on. After a while, it fills up. When it gets full, to let us know that the water tank is full, they've put in another small pipe, just like a nose, up to here at this spot for this purpose. That tap is not at the top of the tank. The pipe isn't placed at the very top. It's a little lower than that.
There is an overflow pipe to prevent the water from overflowing.
It's kept there to prevent overflowing. So when the water comes down inside this, you've heard the sound of water falling. Even if it's a mother who hasn't studied or anyone at home, when the tank is full of water, switch it off. That's it, the tank. When it was about to fill up, they would go and turn off the motor. That's how the level was maintained. But if you look at what people who have studied today do, they give antibiotics to stop the water coming through the nose. I don't understand what the need for that is. By giving antibiotics or other medicines that block this, the discharge stops. But this process is something nature has given us to clean ourselves. So when you stop that, what happens is it moves upwards. That's how the name migraine came about. Migraine is a name given to both the old and the new generations. When treating this migraine, some people who undergo treatment for migraine do not get better, and this is the reason why. There is something called bus, which is the cause of migraine. You need to identify whether the person has vata, or let's say whether he has kapha or pitta. If you just warm up a person with kapha, that's enough. It will melt away and disappear. What should you do for someone with pitta? You need to freeze them, just cool them down. That's enough. Let me give you an example. When someone experiences breathlessness in our hospitals, when we are taken to the hospital, they quickly try to give us oxygen. They admit us to the ICU. It's a place that feels as cold as ice. You go there. They try to give you oxygen. There's no problem for a day, but the next day, if you just go by the news you get, pneumonia has developed.
Right.
So when they eventually came to talk to me, they asked, you didn't actually contract pneumonia, right? Or perhaps it could be some kind of serious ICU infection instead. But still pneumonia developed. This is something people really need to understand. If you go there like a helpless person, this breathing difficulty is not a simple matter. Once pneumonia sets in, then it becomes difficult. After that, just your own life force may not be enough to survive it. At the same time, if someone else goes there, if you come out without getting sick, feeling cool and comfortable, and someone asks who came out, the person with jaundice will come out of the ICU the most comfortably. If you take a person with scabies out into the sun, they'll be comfortable.
It's simple.
It's simple, that's all there is to it. It's not a chronic disease. Asthma is what you call a chronic disease. There's only one thing. He shouldn't eat foods that increase phlegm. He should avoid them. That was the instruction back then. He shouldn't eat that fruit. So a person with phlegm or someone whose body is phlegm-based should not eat foods that increase phlegm. That's what they say, right? Just follow it. That's enough. It's just that eating it anyway, that how or why doesn't matter. It's not about the taste. The taste is given because the demon should leave, right? So their craving is to eat these phlegm-increasing foods. That's why we should control our tongue and live accordingly. Our tongue should be under God's control, but right now the tongue is under the control of the demon. Everyone's tongue is like that. It's under the demon's control, because if you say something good, you won't get beaten for saying something good. It's only when you say the wrong things that you get beaten. So always tell your tongue not to say anything unnecessary. Let me just sit here quietly. The tongue is meant for chewing. When you get beaten, it's right on your face, looking you in the eye. That's exactly what I meant, what was said just now. The trouble caused by the tongue. If we have eaten something that the tongue finds tasty, we can prepare and eat it for the taste. But if you eat more of something just because it's tasty, it will definitely cause illness inside your body. It's like a wrestling match between the devil and God happening in our body. Both are present within us. This soul that is filled within us. With just a single urge to somehow get out, I am the one sitting at the door, right at the tongue. Eating what shouldn't be eaten, drinking what shouldn't be drunk. And then it causes disease. Otherwise, no illness will ever enter inside. Nowadays, you only get sick if you let those thoughts in. Is your tongue restricted? It's hard to make him sick.